So we here, so I'm not going to this, not many people have done homework, okay? So it's only one defect, okay? Somebody's opened, no name. So as I told you, you have to put the name, but you're not following the instructions. Okay. Okay. So now we'll go to pretty quick here. So I hope everyone has got access to Rally and everyone are using it. Okay. So so we'll go to, so here, in this class we'll be talking about various documents. Okay. We'll go through these various documents and see, and we also will be talking about SDLC. So SDLC, so again, the people who actually were missed in the first class, the SDLC is a process, okay, it's a framework. So somebody asked, previous batch, one of the person asked, like, hey, can you give me access to SDLC? Okay, so it's not a software, it's not a tool, okay, it's a framework. Okay, SDLC is a framework. And all this is decided with management perspective, not by any testers or developers. Okay, and it will be done by the management perspective, and they will decide which process is good. Like, is it agile? Is it waterfall? Is it helical? And so on. Okay, so here we'll hold to this SharePoint. Once we go to Jira, right? So we'll talk about this, and we'll be, I'll be also giving you homework on that. So, but here, we'll just hold on to SharePoint. SharePoint is like whenever you're trying to access some document. Let's say you're uploading some test plans, test strategy document. Okay, you want to download it, because nobody will send you an email. Okay, nobody will send you an email and say this is the document. You have to do it yourself. No spoon feeding. Okay, nobody will be giving you any documents. You have to look for yourself. Okay, so in that case you need this SharePoint. So we'll talk about this in detail. Okay, in later class. Okay, so we'll just go to here documents. So there's something called BRD documents. Okay, so BRD is business requirement document. Okay, so what does it contain? So it contains 10 to 20% of use cases, business modeling, risk analysis, and budget information. Okay, so this is what BRD contains. Okay, now here's the thing: this talking is not enough. You don't know how this business BRD looks like. So we'll go to here. Let's see here. So I'll be giving you access for this Google Drive. It has all the documents here, so you can look through this, all the documents, what are the documents we were talking about, okay, and you'll have some idea what is this all about. Okay. Okay, so you go to testing app. So I have this document from MasterCard BRD. So it's a business requirement document from MasterCard. Just look at here, and this is big. It has like 21 pages. Let's see here. Okay, so this is what BRD document looks like. Okay, I hope everyone can see it. Okay, so this is what it is, and as a QA perspective, you may need BRD or you may not need. It's up to it's of the project, but this BRD is more related to ETL perspective. If you are doing some ETL projects, then you want to know this. Okay, so this content, see, here's the thing. Again, this contains a lot of information. You see this, it's what the project is all about, what is the environment, what is the requirement. So as a tester perspective, you will not understand what is this, okay, because you have to start writing your test cases based on this document. But you will not able to understand because this document is prepared keeping in a lot of people in mind, right? It's the business analyst, have this document, developer has this document, architect people have this document, project manager has this document, your boss has this, everyone has this document. So, okay, so that's what I said, right? This is all there in Google Drive. Okay, this is all there in Google Drive. I will give you access to this Google Drive. So there you can access these documents. Okay, these are all in the Google Drive. Okay, so I'll be giving you, because these are so big, I cannot emails 48, see here 48 MB. Okay, you cannot email. I'll be, giving you access to Google Drive, and from there you can, look into this and see what is relevant for you. So there's a lot of information here. Okay, so see what is useful, what you can understand first, and you can go through from there. Okay, so a lot of people are working on it. Okay, so a lot of people see. So your responsibility from here is to understand this document. So obviously you may not able to understand at the first attempt. You have to read it once, twice, thrice, and see if it makes sense for you. And from there you have to start writing your test cases. Okay, you have to at least read it twice. A minimum you have to read twice, because first time you don't even know what's going on with the project. Okay, first read it, and then you see, you can underline what is important for your test cases, how, what they are trying to say, what you're trying to, work on it, and you see this, all this, and start writing your test cases. So this is a BRD document. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So we have this FRD document. So this is a functional requirement document. Okay, so here, now the difference between BRD, again I told you, right, this is a functionality perspective. Here we are talking about this functional requirement document. Okay, I'm not sure who people are paying attention or not. Here's the thing, what I'm trying to say. I'll be giving you access to this Google Drive. If you see this, okay, here's the thing. There's a lot of people here. Okay, so you have shared with 558 people. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is I'll be giving you access to Google Drive. Okay, what happens? It doesn't go to directly customer care, right? It doesn't go to the customer care. They have this automated service that's called IVR, Interactive Voice Response. Okay, so you will be putting a lot of information there. Okay, what's your name? What's your last four digit of SSN? What's the PIN? Press one number for your account, press two number for your savings account, checking account, and all those things. So you will be putting all this information, right? So that's called IVR, Interactive Voice Response. So, okay, so let's get back to here. So what happens, right? So when you use that, so that's web services, okay, used through web services. So that contains, flows, call flows. Let's say you've given some information. Where does that flow moves to? Okay, if you've given wrong information, that call flow will move to another, another flow. Now, if you don't give any other information, now that has a different flow altogether. Okay, so all this is documented in HLD document. Okay, so that's an example. It doesn't have to be the same every time, but it's just an example of call flow, how this, interactive voice response happens. Okay, just an example for IVR. And there's one more thing, TDD, technical design document. It's also similar here, but here we are talking about these jobs. Let's say you're running a job, right? So does everyone know what's the jobs? Okay. So let me let me go through that too. So now, as I told you before, there's a three environments. Okay, there's dev environment, test environment, and production environment. Okay, so now you have to move data. Let's say we are talking about millions of records. Billions of records. We have to move from one environment to another environment. Let's say test environment to production, or dev environment to test. Okay, now you can tell me and say we can just copy and paste. No, it doesn't work that way. There's nothing to copy and paste because this is a different server altogether. Okay. Now what you want to do is you want to use some tool. Okay, so there's tool. Let's take the example like Autosys. Autosys is a tool. It's used to move data from one environment to another environment. Okay. So what it's there in this, it's a, you write a shell script. Okay, you don't write it, developer writes it. They write a shell script that has a SQL query in it, and which mappings has to be triggered, and what it has to happen after that. So all this information it contains in one job, right? So that's called job. Now there are so many, there's independent job and dependent jobs and all those things. So all this is documented is called technical design document. All these jobs which are called, there's a which job has to be triggered, which job is to be independent, which is dependent. That means after running this job you have to run this job. So all this is documented, called technical design document. So it contains all the information. So this is more related to ETL perspective. Okay, it's more for ETL. So okay, so let's go to another. So STM. There's something called STM. STM is source to target mapping document. So let's go here. So how does, let's go pretty quick here. Okay, good. Now this is how HTML document looks like. Okay, source to target mapping document. Okay, now let's go to a little bit in detail here. So now that's called something called BDW. Okay. So so here you have all column names. Okay, so this is the all columns. Okay, and okay, so these are all columns. We don't normally talk about rows unless it is specific. Okay, so we will talk about this column. So it contains a lot of information about the source and target information. Okay, so here we is something called BDW. BDW means Business Data Warehouse. Okay, BDW or EDW, Enterprise Data Warehouse. Okay, now you're talking about this column. So these are all columns. Okay, address, party ID. Okay, so all this is columns. Now, what's the column data type? What's the data type for that column? Is it an integer? Or is it a varchar, variable character? Or is it a data function? Or so all those things. So that is the data type. And PDW PK. PK means primary key. Okay. So if you say this primary key is only one, so there's not many. You cannot have many. But if you see this is primary key, this is primary key, this is primary key. So this is called composite primary key. Okay, that means they have more than one. We call it as composite primary key. Then you have, okay, so we are done with this target. This is all about target. So we'll talk about the source. Okay, now the source, this is the source field name. Okay, this contains information about the source column. These are our columns again. Okay, again, data type. What kind of data type is this? And mapping. Here is all the information, business rules. So you have to understand this rule, or sometimes they put a SQL query that doesn't work. So don't expect to work, because they will put as a developer point of view. They'll just copy from Informatica Flow and just paste it here. So that doesn't work. You have to prepare your own SQL, or see if you can make sense from this information and write your own SQL. That would be much better. Okay. So you have to see here what they're trying to say, and what transformation logic you are putting here to write your SQL. So this is all about STM. So this is called source to target mapping document, and it contains all other information, so remarks and version. Okay, so that is STM document. Go pretty quick here. So there is something called test plan document. So I have this test plan document. Test plan document is a high-level document prepared by the QA lead. Normally QA lead prepares it. Okay, and this is how it looks like. Okay, this is all the document, and it contains information, what types of testing you are doing, what is the functional testing, what is the load testing, and performance testing. So all these things, and we are also documenting what items to be tested, not to be tested, test regulatory. All this contains in test plan document. So it's a high-level document prepared by QA lead. Now, just because QA lead is preparing doesn't mean you're idle. You have to give some inputs here. Okay, because what do you want to add more? What is more important? What do you think it should be? You should add more. So you have to give all these inputs. So that's the test plan document. Okay. Now this is something called test strategy document. Test strategy, in some places they take test plan as test strategy as same. So go with the flow, don't argue with them. So, but this differs from, okay, so this contains information about the strategy of the, let's say there's no resources. Okay, how are you going to move this? Let's see here. Let's see quick the strategy document. So it contains information which is not there in the test plan. Test plan is like planning. What are you planning? Test strategy is, what is the strategy are you implying if there are, let's say there are low resources, how are you going to deal with it? And, so all the such kind of things. Okay. So what are the risks? So what are the risks comes into this? Okay, risk and contingencies, and what are the resource plans, what are you trying to do, and staffing and training needs. So all this comes in the test strategy document. Okay. Okay. So so these two things are a little different, but if at the client place if they're saying like no, this is both are same, then go with the flow, because they'll be using the only one document mostly. Okay, test cases, we know what is test cases, right? We have written test cases. So right. So what does the test case contains? Test case is a high-level document prepared by the QA analyst and it contains test case ID, objective, steps to perform, expected result, pass, fail criteria, comments, remarks. So all these contains in the test cases. So obviously we didn't see all those in document, but actually it is there. So we have to also mention that too. Okay. Test case ID, objective, steps to perform, expected result, pass, fail, comments, and remarks. Okay, so that's about test cases. Let's go to the next one. It's migration document. So why do you need this migration document? So let's say you want a company is trying to migrate, let's say from Teradata to Oracle. Okay, so there's a lot of a lot of data to be moved. Okay, there are a lot of sources, and they are integrating with the sources and moving all this data to here. So now what happens, right? Let's say the senior guy who was working on Teradata, who knows Teradata and Oracle, both SQL, and he was the senior guy and he was working, who's the important guy who was left the job. Okay, they left the job. So in that case, you want to have this migration document so that if a new guy comes in and wants to know what's going on, so because Teradata SQL is different, Oracle SQL is different, and all these things are different, right? So in that case, you want to maintain this migration document. Okay. Any questions so far in documentations? So these are the documents. You have to at least look into it, okay, and see what does it make sense to you or not. Any questions? Okay. So somebody asked, is all applications have same documents? No. So that's a very good question. You don't have all the same documents every time in the workplace. No, not required. Some people might use it, some people don't. Okay, simple. Some people in some companies you may not use all these documents. Some people they may use all these documents as well as more documents you might have. But these are the basic ones. Okay, these are the basic ones which you will be using. Okay, you may or may not be using. If you are in Agile, so they're trying to eliminate this in Agile various documents, but still you need to know. Okay. But for every project, it might contain documents. Okay, all these documents for every project it may contain, but its question is, are you involved in these all documents or not? Okay, so that's the thing. So we might not even have access to some of these documents. So okay, so let's go to the next. So SDLC. So we'll talk about this SDLC. Okay, let's go here quick. Okay, so SDLC is software development lifecycle. Okay, now let's go here. So what is SDLC? It's a framework that describes the activities performed at each stage of the software development project. Okay, although it's not just developer, tester, this is the framework. That means anyone who is working in the project or working has supposed to know all this. Okay, so that's the that's the about methodology. So this is the methodology. Okay, so let's go to waterfall model. So waterfall is a it's from derived from the SDLC. Okay, so say so there are like 10 phases for this waterfall method for this process. Let's see here. Let's go to here. Okay, so here's the phases. There are like almost 10 phases for this. What's happening in the SDLC process, but I'll stick to only 6. Okay, so we'll stick to only 6. If you need more information, you can always, you have time, you can look into it. Okay, so first phase, we'll go one by one. So first phase, requirement phase. What happens in the requirement phase is a business analyst documents all this, gathers all the information what the business requires, and they put it into the document called FRT or BRT or whatever it is, and they'll document all this. So this is the job here, the job of a business analyst. Business analyst works all this and the document, with all this documentation. Okay, that's the requirement phase. Next you have this design phase. What happens in the design phase is, now this is the job of a architect guy who works on this document, looks at the document and designs all the system, how the system should be, how many tables and how many rows it should contain, what are the null values, and all those things is done by the architect guys. So this is design phase. Next you have this implementation phase. So in this implementation phase is the job of a developer. Okay, the developer, based on the design and the requirements, they look into it and start coding on that. Okay, they start coding and prepare all those. So this is an implementation phase. Now you have this testing phase. Now this is where we belong. We execute all our test cases in this phase. Okay, and see if there's any bugs, and we report these bugs and finish between the time in the timeline. Okay, so that's the testing phase. That is called installation phase. So here is normally the job of a middleware team, who is the middleware, and they have, you have to coordinate with them to move the code from, test environment to production environment. And a lot of people you have to coordinate. So, but it's mostly they will be going to do, okay, middleware team to move the whole code from one environment to another environment. So that's the installation, right? You have to move your code to production. That's what they do. Maintenance phase. In this maintenance phase, normally, not QA guys, not always QAs. Senior QA or lead or mostly developer will be working at it. If there is a production issue, they have to see how they can be solved, how can it be tested, and and move that code into production. So these are the 6 phases in a waterfall methodology. Okay, a question for you. Oh, that's what my question is. So my question is to you, which phase does the tester's job starts from? Okay, that's the question actually for me to you is, from which phase does the tester starts? Can anyone answer? Requirements, okay. Any other people? Test beginning of the project, okay. Okay, that's right. So as a tester, does your job, okay, you said beginning of the projects, that's correct too, okay. And I don't argue on that, that's correct. But the phase starts right from the requirements. Why? Okay, so because you're not getting paid for sitting idle, right? So test phase, you test, that means you are not waiting here. Okay, you will be starting right your work from the requirements phase. How? Let's see here what happens. The BA guy puts all the requirements, gets all the requirements. You will be invited at the meeting, or lead will be invited in the meeting, and you have to do brainstorming here. Okay, so as a tester you have to do brainstorming. Then put some requirements. So this is the requirement, this has to go in this in this release. Okay, so there's some say no, you say no, we don't have any other environment. QA1, QA2 is blocked, they're already working on it. There is no other environment to work. How are you going to proceed with this? Okay, and if you find any issues with the documents, you have to find out the issues, what's the issue. So all this is called brainstorming. Okay, how are you going to move with the project? Okay, how are you going to move forward? Okay, so that's all the brainstorming work is done here. Okay, from QA lead, QA tester, QA analyst, all is actually supposed to be invited and see what we can do to move this project forward. Okay, that is in the requirement. And if you find any bugs, issues in the documents, yeah, you have to also, let them know. So, this is the issue. This is, let's say that you find some, bugs. So in this, it's really hard to take any bugs or issues, but you can take it. Okay, because you only able to understand once you're actually working on it with the practical, practical application or practical, database. But other than that, it would be pretty hard to open issues. But you can open. If you're an experienced guy, you can still know what the issues will be. Okay. Now in the design phase, now what the QA will be doing in this design phase? Okay, we are going to write a lot of things. We are going to do test plan document, test strategy document, test cases. Now all this you have to do, right? You're not going to write your test cases at the testing. No, that's wrong. You're not going to waste much time. You have to start writing at the beginning. That's in the design phase. You start writing your test cases, test plan. Your lead will be working. You have to work with your lead, finish the test plan document. Now, in the implementation phase, let's say it's too much work, you're not able to finish it. So here you want to complete your test strategy document or continue with your test cases. Okay, here you want to use this time. Now, in the test case, what QA will be doing in the test? Yes, executing your test cases. Let's say you have written 10 test cases. Now you want to execute it. Okay, you go for functional testing, for integration testing, and so on. You want to execute those test cases. That's what you will be doing in the test phase. Now this is installation. So as a QA installation, your job will be coordination with the middleware team to make sure that the right code is delivered to the environment. Okay, production environment. So that's what you'll be doing the installation phase. So that's a good question. So how can a tester detect bugs in the requirement phase? Okay. So yeah, you cannot open bug in this phase, but still, if you're an experienced guy, you can do that. But here you want to find out issues. Let's take an example of this issue I told you, right? Now BA comes and says, this has to go in this release. But your lead is experienced guy. He said, how are you going to do this? Because we are blocked. We have these two QA environments, and those are blocked, and we are using that one. The regression team who is using it, how are we going to proceed with that? Now that's the issue. Okay, that's how you need to. So that's called brainstorming. Actually, you want to do a lot of brainstorming here. If you find any issues, you need to come up right there. Okay, so bugs, of course, you cannot open bugs at that time. Any defects is not possible, but still, you have to come up with some issues which is stopping you to do the work. Okay, so let's go to here, maintenance. So maintenance normally, lead or is senior QA will be working to make sure the code is migrated smoothly to the production environment. Okay, and also if there's any production issues, you should not get many production issues here. Okay, if you get many production issues, then the QA guy is the guy who will get caught, not anyone else. Okay, no developer, no lead, it's only the QA tester. Okay, so that's the maintenance phase. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's move to the next pretty quick here. Okay, so you have this document in the Google Drive too. You can go ahead and use it. So you can see what are the advantages and disadvantages of waterfall methodology. But the major advantage of waterfall is when you think quality is more important than cost. Okay, when you think the quality is more important than cost, then waterfall is for you. Agile is the other way. The advantage of waterfall is the disadvantage of agile. Thing is, when you think cost is more important than quality, then agile is for you. Okay, so this is a major advantage for this. When you are thinking like quality is more important, then you want to go through waterfall. And this is old, but still you have to this is in agile also. There's a lot of improvement. It might be a lot of improvement and a lot of things going on. So, but yeah, so this was the major advantage of this. Okay. So let's go to next methodology. That's right. So somebody asked, right, does that mean that waterfall is costly? Exactly. It's costly because business, see, here's the thing. Business don't want to spend a lot of money. Here is the thing. Now, why they try to move to agile is because, let's say, waterfall methodology takes 6 months. Now, the same thing in agile takes in, 1 month. So what the work we are doing in the 6 months, they just squeeze into 1-2 months and gone. It's the product is gone. So you see this how much they are saving. The businesses want to see this should move much faster. So that's the reason waterfall is more costly than agile. That's right. So that's the reason people want to move to agile. So, but either way, agile is really not that great. Okay, because you'll find a lot of issues, a lot of bugs in agile. Because if you want to squeeze, you still will be having a lot of issues with that. Okay. Now next methodology is a V-shaped SDLC model. It's similar to waterfall model what we have seen, but the only thing here is it's going in a V shape. Okay, that means you're doing two things simultaneously. Let's say you're coding, detailed design, and same thing you're doing unit testing, architecture design, and integration testing. So all this, right? What you're trying to do is, two things you're doing at the same time is called V-shaped SDLC model. Okay. Let's go to next pretty quick. So these are methodologies. It's based on different projects and based on the project you use it. Sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes what happens is, they invent their own methodology. Okay, so they don't use any methodology here. They have their own way of doing it. So even that can be possible. Okay, so now this RAD is part of the agile. So we'll see here. So rapid application model. It's part of the agile actually. So agile is, so we'll go through that. Agile is big topic. It contains a lot of sub modules, because if somebody asks you what methodology, you say is agile, but really that doesn't help to answer the question, because agile has Scrum. Okay, it has Scrum, RAD, rapid application development, extreme programming, okay, Kanban. So all these are part of the agile. Okay, you can use any of this, or maybe all of this too, but that's a part of this agile. Okay, so that's now then you have next incremental SDLC. Okay, so here this concept remains same, but here you are trying to do the verification validation process. Okay, that's a incremental SDLC process. Let's go to here. Now you have next spiral SDLC. Okay, so here spiral SDLC is it is divided into 4 different quadrants: quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And the process remains same. So you're determining the objectives here, and you're building the prototype. Okay, and then you're actually going to requirements. Again, you're planning, and then so you're moving in a spiral way. You see this? You're moving from one quadrant to another quadrant spirally. So that's the reason it's called spiral SDLC. But you know what? The concept remains same. You see requirement, design, implement. Okay. all this remains same. So, but except that it's you're moving into spiral, so that's why it's called spiral SDLC methodology. Okay, so agile, we'll talk about this agile. Not Monday. Monday is holiday, right? So we'll talk about this agile on 28th. Okay, and we'll go in detail about agile and see. Okay, because agile has a different way, a different thing altogether, not related to SDLC. It's completely different. So if you see here, this is the agile methods. You see here, adaptive software development, RAD, rapid application development, Scrum. Scrum is more famous. Extreme programming. Okay, so all these are part of this agile. So yes, 3 days. No, 17. So 17 and 18 is weekend, right? So you don't have that. 19th is a holiday, right? So yes, you will not have. So you don't have my class. You have to check with other. See if they are taking the in the holidays, but you don't have my class. Okay. Next class will be 28th. That's right. Next class will be on 28th. So recordings, so as I told you, right, if you're not getting email, send me an email at manu@itmedica.com. Okay, so you know what, I'll send you all the documents or the homeworks and whatever, so you can go through that. Okay, so that's about it. Any questions so far? Okay, so ETL, not sure about ETL. Let's see here. You have to check with your respective HR manager. Let me check here if you have this. Okay, good. So not details. So Unix will be having this one-time QA. This is mine. So I can forward this meeting invite. Okay, that's not a big deal. So if you have any questions, I can forward this. Okay. So okay, let's go to the next one, SDLC process. So far we were discussing about SDLC, that is software development lifecycle. Now SDLC is the software testing lifecycle. That means, see here the hierarchy. Now we are not going to discuss SDLC process with your developer. Okay, they don't know, they don't care, and they will not bother because it's not their job. Okay, now SDLC is only follows this hierarchy. That means you QA tester lead. Okay, QA tester, QA lead, okay, QA manager, QA director, that goes that flow. Okay, all this flow is, they have to decide this SDLC process. Okay, now you have also QA, I'm sorry, developer, and architect, developer manager, developer director, and so on. Okay, so those hierarchy process follows SDLC process. SDLC, not that we don't follow, so it's actually mix and match. Both have to follow because we are the part in this development process. So, but that's how it goes. Okay, so here in SDLC, you have this test plan preparation. Okay, so we have already looked what's test plan, right? Then test case design and test execution lab preparation. So we have done all this. Okay, let's go back to look defect tracking and test report preparation. Okay, great. So we have already done this. Now let's see what we are talking about so that you will get better understanding. So practically, if you see this, what's there, you can be able to understand. Okay, so test plan preparation, of course, QA lead will be preparing this test plan. You have to give inputs, what's how you should be. Test case design, you know what we've seen test case, we have written test cases, right? So let's go to here. Okay. So test cases, we have written these test cases. That's what it means by test case design. Test execution and test log preparation. Of course, we have done that too. We have executed our test case. This is test execution. This is what's called test execution. Test log preparation. Yes, we also documented this as a test log. So this is what we are documentation. So this is test execution and test log, and then defect tracking. Of course, we also opened the defect. This is the defect, and this is a defect, and we want to track it. That means there's a number assigned to it. So see this DE49493. So this is called tracking. We want to track it and see which defect it is. Okay, so that's called defect tracking. And the test report preparation. Okay, so here we've talked something about reports, but that's really not exactly the same thing what it is. But these test reports are prepared by the QA lead, normally QA lead, they will be preparing it. So let's see here. So yeah, you can take it this one. Okay, how much task it is. So this kind of report, right? So the report. So it's normally the same thing actually in the reports. Normally the project level reports. It's all iteration burn down. It's all these things. All this about reports preparation. And the lead is going to do that. Okay, so this is the process of STLC process. Does it make sense? Okay, test log is pass or fail information actually. So that means, okay. Here. So if you see here, test cases we've seen, right? So this is what it means. Your last verdict, that means is it pass or fail, that's called test log, okay? Okay, so no questions. So you can go to this document too. We'll be having this in the Google Drive. So we worked it right. Test case document, we have to test case ID. That's luckily you have this tool, so everything is doing for you. So test case ID TC365. There's a test case ID. Test case description. That's why we provided description here. See this. And test case procedure. Okay, so procedure actually we have didn't do this, but you can take it as what is the preconditions and post conditions, and this is the procedure. How are you going to proceed with this? Okay, so this is the test procedure, and actually each and every step you need to go each and every step. That's a procedure. Okay, you can follow that, and test input and test data and expected result. So we have done all this. Okay. So we have also talked about defects priority, severity. Okay. So, so let's go to the next one, bug life cycle. Okay, similarly like STLC, you have bug life cycle. And see, okay. So let's go beforehand. So what are we talking about? We are talking about, so let's say you opened a defect, right? Let's go here. Right. So what we are right now we are talking about is defect status. Okay. Let's say you have opened this defect, and this is what we are talking about right now. So that's the defect status. Okay. Okay, so let's go here. So when you open a defect, it will be in the new status, and you have to change it. As I told you, you have to change it in open. Once you change it to open, you have to assign it to some developer guy or the respective person. The owner of the defect is always a developer. Once you assign it, now the developer sees what has to be done. If they found really bug, now they will fix it. There has to be one more box here actually fixed. So there's no, but okay, once it gets fixed, You can retest it again, verify it, and close the defect. Okay, that's the one flow. The next flow is if you assign and developer sees that now it's not a defect, it gets rejected. It's a duplicate and put some information duplicate, or not my problem or something like that. It gets rejected. And thing is deferred. And a deferred is something which, let's say, the defect is too big to, you know, to work on it. Then they're not working on it because there are more important issues to work on it. So they will put it to next release. So that's called deferred. The defect is, deferred to next release. Okay, and then so that's one flow. Okay, that's another flow. Now, let's say you assign some defect and you again reopen it. Now, this is not something which you'll be doing daily. This is not. If you're reopening it, make sure you're doing it right, because you have to coordinate with the developer. Why did you reopen it? Because developer will reject it if he doesn't understand. Okay, and you're not, see, these are reopened because, let's say you're non-reproducible bugs. So non-reproducible issues, you want to reopen it and try to make, understand developer what's going on with this. So that's the flow of bug lifecycle. Any questions so far? So this is what we were talking about. New, open, once it gets fixed, you want to reopen it, then reopen it, or it defects, it still remains in this open status, but this defect gets, they'll write, if you're lucky, they'll write information here that it's been deferred, or it's been moved to the next release or something like that. So somebody asked a question, right? In what cases does the defects are deferred by the developer? Normally, if the defects is too big, and here's the thing. Example. Let's take an example. Let's say you open some very small defect. Let's say you've opened a defect which really doesn't matter. Here, click on this. So this is very small defects, okay? Because you have nothing to do with this. I'm just small, and that defect gets deferred because there's a lot of work to do. Maybe they're not able to find what's the solution, and it's taking more time to research on it or see who is the developer on this, so they have more time. So in that case, the defect is deferred. Small issues which actually requires a lot of work, so that goes deferred. Or it can be so big that it becomes a user story for the next release. Okay, that might also happen. But sometimes the defect is so big that they're not able to solve because it requires a lot of Java guys or ETL guys, a lot of web developers. So in that case, that becomes a user story of next release. Does it make sense? Any more questions? So there is nothing to disagree for a deferred defect. There is nothing to disagree because that defect will remain open until you close it. Nobody can close it. You have to close it, or your lead or your boss will close. The boss will not touch all these things. So you or your lead will be working on it. So there's nothing to disagree. It remains open. It remains open until it gets fixed. So you cannot close it until that option shows you like fixed. Okay, and they will not put fixed because they know it's an open and they know it's a defect. And I mean, typically you cannot disagree anything there. It's still open. The defect is still open. Only thing is it will require more time to it will take more time. Any more questions? So you have completed this. So Tuesday, we'll go through this agile, complete agile, and Okay. So if no questions, can we close this class for today? Okay, thank you guys.